Welcome to After the Poll, the video series where I take all of the comic books I read for the current comic book week, share my thoughts and opinions on them. If you guys haven't checked out all my thoughts on the newest issue 1 comic books for the week, check out Worthy Ones. A great series. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, if you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, bam, you came to the right place. Hit that subscribe button. Also, guys, consider becoming a member of my YouTube channel. As low as 99 cents can get you early access to videos. And all you gotta do is just hit that join button right there on my home screen. There's 3 different tiers. And once you select a tier, you're good to go, man. You'll get early access to the videos, like I said. You'll get stickers on the comments, and you'll also get monthly badges to let people know how long you've been a member of my channel for. So it's much appreciated, guys. So with that being said, let's get started with this week's packed episode of After the Poll. All right, here we go, guys. So for time's sake, I can't cover all of the books I read. There was 16 total here, and that's not including already the number ones that I read. So I read all 16, and I felt like there was about 7 of them here that I want to give a quick rundown, and then I'll go into more detail of some of the other books that I read. So the first one we're going to talk about is Absolute Power tie-in. This is Green Lantern issue 14. If you guys read the Task Force 7 book, the last issue of that, this Green Lantern book kind of continues off of that. So it actually was a pretty decent read with Hal Jordan, Alan Scott in there. So I would recommend this book to pick up. The next one is Death in the Family, Robin Lives. This is part 2 of 4. This series is actually just an Elseworld tale, just basically what the title says. What if Robin lives? So what if Jason Todd survived? You get a little bit of fun things in here with Joker, and you get some stuff in here with Nightwing. Not a bad series, kind of reminds you of the older day of comics. This would be a book I would also recommend. Another book that is kind of not going on with anything with DC at the moment is Superman Action Comics. This is issue 1068. Gail Simone's writing the main story, and then you got Rainbow Rowell writing the backup story. And the backup story, I actually kind of enjoy that. You know, we have Lois Lane being the boss of Clark, and he's never been in that situation before. So I thought that one was pretty cool. The little whole battle arena situation that's going on in the main story is fun. It's like a Silver Age tale, so recommend that one. Next, for the Venom War tie-in fans and Venom in general, we have issue 36, as we have Cable-like Venom, or Dylan, I should say, going into the past, trying to stop events that have happened, okay? Comes across his mom and his dad way in the early days. It's a battle against Molten Man. It looks like they need some of his formula or his whatever he's made out of to kind of stop whatever's going on in the future. I would not recommend this comic book, so I would probably pass on this one. The next one is Spider-Boy issue 10. This is Spider-Boy versus the Spider-Verse. Now, this is actually better than the Spider Society book, as we got Aranya and we got Silk trying to get people to remember who Spider-Boy actually is. He's lost in the web of life, and we find out the reason why nobody remembered who he was. By the time we get to the end of this comic, it looks like everything's great, and it looks like that people will remember who Bailey Briggs is once again. I would recommend this book. I think Spider-Boy has been a solid book. This one seemed like it has a real good purpose to it. Next, The Sensational She-Hulk. This is issue 10. This is the ending of the book. I mean, I couldn't say anything else to it. It seems like this was cut short, probably of lack of sales. I feel like this is a guilty pleasure book. This just shows everything that's going on with Jennifer Walters with the law firm while she was gone, her joining the Avengers team, the wrap up with Jack of Hearts and all that other stuff. So if you read Sensational She-Hulk, I would say finish it. And if you haven't read it before, don't bother with it. All right, and then we have Batman and Robin. This is issue 12. as this is the continuation of the story of them being on Dinosaur Island. Robin dealing with the whole situation with Bane and Alfred, him killing Alfred back in a few years back and whatnot. And the ending of this book would actually surprise you. So, not a bad book. I think if you've read Joshua Williamson's run at this point, I say pick it up. Kill All Immortals. This is issue 2. This book is 28 pages for the price of $4. It's published by Dark Horse. The writer here is Zach Kaplan, and this book's artist is done by Fico Ozio. This book is bloody. It's gory. This is something that I would definitely recommend on just the artwork alone. There was a lot of exposition in the first issue of this, but this time around we get to see Frey, I think her name is, which is the main character here, try to rescue her boyfriend from her crazy Viking family, and she's willing to risk it all for this guy. We do get to learn a little bit of the backstory of our main character here, which I thought it was really cool, and then we wind up seeing her go against Thor. And it's not the normal everyday, Marvel Comics Thor. It's a different Thor. And the battle throughout this comic was absolutely outstanding. And I loved it. And by the time we got to the end of this comic, well, it's just basically all-out war from here on out. This book is great. I would definitely recommend it. I'm going to give it a solid A. Yeah, guys, if you're not reading Kill All Immortals, I say pick it up now. See if issue 1 is on the shelf. I think you'll like it. Absolute Power Task Force 7. This is issue 4. This book is 32 pages for the price of $4. The writer here is Pornsack. Did I say Pornsack? I don't know. I'm sorry, dude. I can't even say her last name. And Claire Rowe. The artwork is good. Listen, it's not my favorite artwork, but it definitely gets the job done. Here we get to see this cool little, what's it called? The Maze of Owls, right? I thought that was kind of cool. You get to see some nice facial expressions. I did think maybe there should have been a little bit more detail. Maybe the colors would have been a little bit better in here. And this was a kind of a dramatic book, I mean, you really feel the stakes with some of the heroes in Absolute Power, and Miss Martian is in here. Not having her powers really hurts her. She's really upset about this, and the sacrifice that she does for her team is awesome. So this book does have a lot of heart in here, and we get to see a lot of Failsafe in here, and obviously he does a lot of the narration in here, which is really good as well. So I thought this comic was awesome, and the big thing that I got out of this comic, which kind of really ties into what's to come with the DC Universe, is we get to see all of Amanda's goons here creating that teleportation device to maybe get to the Absolute Universe. So I thought that was really neat, and I felt that was an integral part of just everything that's going on in DC. So definitely a recommend on my end here. The ending of this was really good. It had heart. It felt like there was a lot at stake here, and this just proves that these tie-ins are no joke. It really adds to the main story here. So at the end of the day, I think I'm going to give this one a B+. Definitely a solid read. Is it a must to understand what's going on in Absolute Power? No, but it definitely makes it a little bit better. Miles Morales' Spider-Man. This is issue 23, legacy numbering 305. This is a 28-page comic for the price of $4. We have Cody Ziegler, who is the writer here. Federico Vincentini does the artwork. As always, the artwork is really good. It's awesome to see some of these action scenes and exaggerated facial expressions when get punched in the face. It's good to see all these different cast of B-rated villains that are in this comic book that seems to pop out. And what we get to see in this is that there is an aftermath of Blood Hunt for Miles Morales. As you know, he did become a vampire in that event, and Doctor Strange put a cast on a spell to where he can kind of contain the full effect of being a vampire. And in this issue, though, we get to see him struggle with brutality with his Venom Shock Blast. It's like he wants to use it to hurt people, but he feels at the same time, or to stop people, and at the same time, he feels like he's getting more violent, but if he doesn't do that, then he might lust for blood, and so then he's going to be eating people. So there's this fine balance, there's this struggle. So if Miles didn't have it tough before with his whole mental issues, now he's going back to what's his name, Sasquatch? Is that who it is, or is it the Hulk? What's his name? I forgot his name off the top of my head, but yeah. And he's going to him for therapy sessions and for actual help to see what he can do, the balance of things. Doc Sasquatch, Leonard Samson, that's who it is. So yeah, and I thought that was kind of cool. Now, did I think that the whole therapy session maybe went on a little bit long? Maybe so, but they did do a decent job at balancing everything out. I was hoping to see a little bit more Vulture in here. We don't get to see him till the end of the issue. But what I really want, like, I get he's struggling being this vampire and this other entity, but what I really, really want is him to, like, almost suck some people dry of blood, like, and just be beside himself in him doing that, but he can't help it. I think that would make for a much more intriguing comic book, even more than what it is now, right? To kind of take it to that next level. And if you also are reading Blood Hunters, we get to see Miles Morales in that book also, so I think the crew is going to help him search for a cure also. So this book was good, looking forward to it. Vulture will be in the next issue. I'm going to give this one a solid B. Not quite what I expected to take it to the next level for me. Like I said, I want to see him sucking some neck veins and stuff like that, so we'll see what happens going forward, man. So yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this comic in the comments below. Vengeance of the Moonight. This is issue 8, legacy numbering 238, 28 pages for the price of $5. Listen, this is done by Jed MacKay and the art is done by Dave Paramack. And I think the artwork is absolutely gorgeous in this book. I think all the characters look great. I love the coloring in here because this is a darker book. But obviously, after the events of Moonight, we do get to see this book not be so dark, and we actually get to see sunlight. And that moment with Reese in there was absolutely outstanding. I think out of all the books that Jed MacKay is writing right now, Moonight is definitely his best book, just because I think this is the book he spent the most time on and has developed the characters and has been able to tell the story, I think, that he wants to tell. You gotta love the gore that happens in this comic book. Really, really good. And you gotta love this pinup page, which is nice as well, as you get to see Mark Spector back once again. All the characters are great, like I said, and this comic has been really about Reese and Soldier and 8-Ball and Tigra, all defending the Midnight Mission, trying to keep the streets safe. And their backs were against the wall in this series until, yes, Mark Spector makes his return back once again, and it was great to see them fight side by side. And yes, all the alleyways and the streets and all that stuff where their Midnight Mission is at is safe. It was kind of cool trying to see them defend their Midnight Mission with an oil tanker that was going to explode it. It was just a lot of great stuff. Again, another wonderful pinup page, and it ends with a pretty good cliffhanger, so I am looking forward to seeing where this goes. Overall, I love all the characters in this book, and I've loved this book since issue 1. I'm sad that I did not continue Jed MacKay's original run. That's the thing with him. Keep that in mind with X-Men. He's a slow starter when it comes to writing comics, but once his stories get going, they become really, really good. So definitely love Moon Knight. I'm going to give this one a B+. Does it kind of progress really anything with these characters? No, it's kind of like where they last left off when Mark Spector died, right? And now they're back together again. So we'll see where it goes from here. So speaking of more Jed MacKay, we have X-Men. This is issue 2. So legacy numbering here is 302, 28 pages for the price of $5. Like I said, written by Jed MacKay, and the artwork here is done by Ryan Stegman. The artwork looks really good in this comic book. I thought it was better than the first one. I thought Beast looked like an improvement. We get to see the supposed alien invasion that's going on in here, and we get to see our X-Men that are in action. Really cool. There's some funny moments here between these three, which I thought was great. And really what this comic is about is our X-Men coming to like a distress call. They're trying to rescue a mutant or somebody that just developed their mutant powers for the first time, but they're older than what they should be, which is different, right? And supposedly he creates all these holograms, makes him think it's his alien invasion, and it was just cool to see all that different action scenes, right? And what they did in the comic book. So again, really cool art here, especially with Juggernaut as he was going into the mothership to try to destroy it. Just a much better issue all the way around, I thought, than the first issue. There wasn't as many story threads, and I think that's what made it better. And like I said, Jed MacKay has a story to tell here, and you just gotta give him a little time, warm up to his writing, and I think you'll like this one. So I think the last time when I rated this one, I think it was like a C book. So I'm gonna give this one a B-. Still not perfect, but definitely a lot better than what it was. The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 55. I feel like people are gonna dog on this bad boy. I really want to know your comments below on this one. Legacy numbering 949. Just remember, guys, it's almost over, right? 28 pages for the price of $5, written by Zeb Wells. The art here is done by Emilio Lazio. The artwork's pretty good, though. Like, listen, at this point, I'll take any artist besides John Romita Jr. A lot of panels in this book. Obviously, what you see here is Peter is going on a date with Shay. I guess she's the hot nurse that works at the Ravencroft Institute, right? So it's like, if Peter can't score with MJ, you know what? Why not try the hot nurse that's there, right? And of course, he messes everything up like always. I'm sorry, I gotta save the day. I'm sorry, I gotta do this. I'm doing that. And then finally, he does the right thing, and he hooks up with the nurse, right? But the way it's done, it's stupid. Like, he goes to, what's her name? Is this like, I forgot her name. I don't even know what, Rhino and this other screwball chick. And he literally goes up to him. He's like, listen, I'm on a date. Can you guys like go take your stuff elsewhere? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, who would do that if you're a supervillain? I would be like, get out of here, squirt, you know? I don't know. It was just weird. And she's like, I'm here for you. And then all of a sudden you see him making out with her right in front of Alfred there. I thought that was, I was like, wow, that's kind of awkward. Like, you know, you're going to just stand there, Alfred, and watch them make out? Who knows? But hey, good for Peter. If he's hooking up with her tonight, hey, that's all good. Listen, the Mary J thing, it's done. It's over. Let him be with somebody so it can progress the character. Spider-Man is just in limbo. There's nothing happening with him. And that's the problem with this comic book. Nobody progresses. We progress Mary Jane into a superhero, which is lame. You don't progress Peter Parker at all. You just dance around all these things that might happen and could happen, but it never actually does happen. The villains never progress. Like, nothing happens. You just change all the characters that are there, right? Let's get to a point where we can just move Peter Parker along. I'll get off my soapbox. I can go all day with the Amazing Spider-Man. What do I give this one? I give it a C. I thought it was average, and I give him credit for maybe getting a hookup tonight. Will we see her anymore going forward? We'll see. The next 3 books I'm going to talk about here today, guys, are all must-read books, okay? The first one we're talking about here is The Ultimates. This is issue 3. 28 pages for the price of $5. The writer here is Denise Camp. The art is done by Juan Frigeri. Listen, the artwork in this book was actually really good. I like seeing like the opening cover right here, and then we just wind up getting to see a huge gamma explosion from the very start of this. And as the book moves along, we get to see our Ultimates heroes on this monster island fighting like these monster characters, like Hulk-like characters. And I was like, oh damn, that's pretty sweet looking. Now, I will advise you, if you have not read this comic yet, is to read the pages that have this on it, because this is very informative. okay, and it tells you everything that's been going on in like this particular island. So yes, it's a white page, but it's a very integral part of this comic book, and it shows you what has happened to this island, right? And what Banner has done to this island, and what has happened to this people. It's a very apocalyptic like situation that has happened, and I love apocalyptic books. I love seeing the demise of a world and then the rebuilding of it, right? It's really, really cool. And what has happened to these people are really sad. And the Ultimates are basically looking for the Hulk-like character. And when they find the Hulk character, it's the female. But it's not Jennifer Walters. It's a completely different character. And he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, you could be the answer to our prayers. And she's like, and he's like, do you have others like you? We could have a Hulk army. And it's like a gut punch at one point where she's like, do you want to see who's living here? What this gamma radiation has done to my people? She's like, do you want these people part of your Hulk army? I mean, oh my gosh, you want to talk about just gut-wrenching. It was insane, right? But Iron Lad makes a deal with the new She-Hulk, and let's just say Ultimate Hulk is not happy about the whole situation, and this guy's a dick, dude. Listen, definitely a worthy book this week. I definitely say pick this one up. This actual issue like took it to the next level for me, so I'm gonna give this one an A+. Really, really good read. Top pick for me. Transformers, this is issue 11, 28 pages for the price of $4. The penultimate issue of the second story arc, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, and our art is done by Jorge Corona. The color continues to be done by Mike Spicer. Absolutely brilliant looking issue as usual. Lots of emotion in every single comic when it comes to Transformers. Whether it's, say, Ultra Magnus being destroyed, Cliff Jumper being tortured, Soundwave losing Ravage, just all the brutality that happens in this comic book. Elita 1 being pissed off at Prime in this book. Just so much that happens in here, right? The big thing that's going on in this comic book is Shockwave has figured out a way in order to strip Earth of its natural resources to power Cybertron once again, and our heroes are trying to figure out how to stop that. At the same time, they're trying to rescue Cliff Jumper and Jazz, and Cliff Jumper is just an absolute mess right now, right? Well, to get the battles turned, they did rescue Ultra Magnus, where you're thinking, hell yeah, Ultra Magnus is coming into play, because, you know what, Devastator's there as well, so what's going to even the playing field? It's not going to be Ultra Magnus. You'd think that at first. He comes through with his big-ass gun, and you're like, hell yeah, Ultra Magnus, and he just transforms and tries out. I was like, what the heck? What a coward, right? I was like, that sucks for the Autobots, you know? The other thing that if you've been paying attention to is Shockwave is like no holds barred. Like, he is a guy that wants things done his way no matter what. And poor Soundwave has been trying to get Ravage fixed for the past 3 issues now, and he always shoves him to the side. And I feel like Soundwave is going to be the one that's going to be the hero at the end of this story arc and destroy Shockwave, because he will not help him fix Ravage. I'm telling you, look out for that twist at the end. I'm calling it right now. I'm telling you, because Shockwave is an ass, dude. This book is great. Another top pick for me, A+. What do you think of Transformers issue 11? Geiger, issue 5, 32 pages for the price of $4. This book is written by Jeff Johns. The art is done by Gary Frank. I was told that, yes, Gary Frank will be leaving Geiger. I don't know if it's permanent. I think it's like partial, maybe for an issue or so. But the artwork looks absolutely phenomenal. Look at the facial expressions here on Tyreek as he's trying to rescue Barney. This book, when you want to talk emotion, this had it. And when you talk about a comic book feeling like a blockbuster movie or a scene from it, This had it. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time as Tyreek is trying to take out this bounty hunter by the name of the electrician while he's trying to save Barney. And let me tell you, this book had nonstop action. You didn't know who was going to win. You didn't know if he was actually going to succeed at rescuing his dog or not. But then when he does, okay, and this is a spoiler, he does rescue, and Nuclear Nate, I think that's his name, right, sits there and asks, is he alive? And he is literally holding Barney in his hands, crying. And the emotion that I got out of that moment, it just, oh my gosh, it tore at me so much, because we have all lost a pet in our life, right? And this just really shows the human side of Tyreek on how much this animal means to him. And when he's holding him, I literally cried at that moment, because again, it just reminds you of you losing a loved one in your life, like an animal like that, right? Oh my gosh. The ending of this book is just, oh, it tears at the heartstrings. I absolutely love this book. And it was my favorite book, even better than Transformers, just on an emotional level, because you can relate to this, right? Even though this is a book that is very much science fiction, right? And as a two-headed dog, it's very relatable, and it shows you how much of a family man that Tyreek actually is. So this is an A+ once again. Top pick for me. Favorite book of the week for me. Tearjerker. Definitely recommend it, guys. So there you have it, guys. There are all my thoughts on all the books I read this week. Definitely a hefty week, like I said. In the future, I will be doing that if I have like more than 10 books to read, where I just give you a quick rundown on some of the ones that I didn't think were worthy of a huge long discussion, right? So let me know if you like that idea, if you're okay with that, right? And as always, guys, if you love the content, I got more content right here. In fact, this is a video where I show you how much money I spend on New Comic Book Day each week. So hopefully you find that one pretty cool. And as always, guys, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember to read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Bye.